I'm Jason Hoelscher, IDSVA cohort 2012. I defended my dissertation in 2018, and we're here at the Spannocchia residency where I'm serving as a writing fellow. This is where I started my IDSVA studies. It's a 13th century castle. It's isolated just by nature of being on top of a hill surrounded by thousands of acres of farmland. But we are also only about 15 miles south of Siena. So it's an ideal place right at the point when it has enough isolation. Students have plenty of time to work on and focus on their projects, their writing assignments, their presentations, because there are no distractions. But just at the time when everyone starts to reach a sort of like, I need something else to do to take my mind off this, it's a great launching point for a quick day trip to Siena, to Florence, and so forth. And the grounds are beautiful. We have the meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner are part of the, part of the program. So it's nice to be somewhere where you don't have any distractions whatsoever. But yeah, it's incredible. I've been here 5 or 6 times now, and it retains its magic. I do a lot of writing in addition to my art making, just helping the students figure out how to organize their ideas at a doctoral level, how to ramp things up to write argument-driven papers. Too early to be working towards a dissertation yet, but of course that's always looming in their future. So I get them off to a good start on how to construct an argument, how to set up the paper to yield results down the line, and so on and so forth.
So tell us a little bit about your first year and your coming to Spannocchia. I want to hear about your original experience.
Yeah, my experience here was mind-blowing. I had a set of goals that I wanted to get from the program, and I'll say the one stage after another, my world kept expanding. I'd already read theory and philosophy just out of personal interest, but of course the level of intensity here, doing so with accountability that comes with teaching, working with teachers, you come in with an idea of what the program is, but very quickly you realize your horizons were too small. There's a lot going on, a lot of possibilities, horizons of thought way farther out than you thought possible. So to whatever extent I can help the incoming students each year have that sort of an experience, that's what draws me here. I wrote a book on theory, an overview of different approaches to postmodernism, modernism, and so forth, before I even joined the program. And when it was finished, I thought, this is good unit, like chapter by chapter, but it doesn't cohere as a book. Like I had the theory generally correct and everything, but it didn't seem to matter. It was like, nobody's going to care about this text. And one of the things that happened here very quickly, whether it's 10 pages, whether it's 300 pages, the text ends up having stakes. Like it matters. You construct an argument, say, I'm going to argue that, or I'm going to contend that in this paper I do X, Y, and Z. One of the things that IDSVA is really good at is teaching you how to write something that by the very first paragraph, the reader wants to know more. There's a big so what, why do I care about this that's built in, and it just grabs the reader or listener, whether it's a conference participant, whether it's an acquisitions editor for a journal, all these things combined. It's a really incredible writing tool that then allows you to organize complex ideas, such as philosophical concepts, art theory ideas, into a whole that, for lack of a better word, just really has some oomph to it. It's got some potency, and it's worked for me really well ever since. In the 12 years since I first learned that program, I teach it to my students at the university where I work. They have great record getting into conferences. It's just a really powerful tool for writing and organizing one's thoughts. That was the main thing I took away from my first year. And as I said, one of the main things I want to help students here with each new incoming class take part in and figure out for themselves. A few things happened when I started having IDSVA on my CV. I'd gone 3 years of 60 submissions a year, no interviews at all. And IDSVA there were a few things happened all at once, but I started getting interviews the same year I started at IDSVA. I think in part people were curious because the question would always come up. So I see you're doing this IDSVA thing. Tell me a little bit more about that. So if nothing, I was creating dialogue, if nothing else. It still took another 2 years to get a full-time position. The way I was able to present myself in interviews, all the practice here at IDSVA of learning to do panel discussions, paper presentations. If you can learn how to present a strange argument-driven paper in front of 200 academics at a conference, by the time you're sitting in front of 3 people on a hiring committee, that's practically easy after you've done a few conference paper presentations. So I think lots of little intangibles helped, for one thing, that I got from the program, as well as the more tangible things, having the ABD all but dissertation, or once I finished the PhD, having that on my resume, on my CV, made me as a candidate much more desirable. My full-time position now at Georgia Southern University, I got hired for that 9 years ago in 2015. Got tenure in 2020, right before the pandemic started, on the basis of my publications, conference presentations, exhibitions, a whole mix of things that wouldn't have been on my CV without the IDSVA experience. I still was doing exhibitions all along, before, during, and after IDSVA. But having the conferences, publications, all those things added quite a bit. And one thing that I hadn't really thought through that becomes desirable to a department, especially if you're like me, have a studio background, which you need, the MFA is the terminal degree in that context. But my department just went through its once a decade accreditation review, and a fine art department with PhD holding faculty members, that even helps the department. So it creates a lot of extra desirable components, even at the paperwork level, for accreditation for the department. That opened up, as I said, lots of worlds and horizons of ideas I didn't know were even out there. The one thing I've been telling incoming students, I had an idea for my dissertation right from the start, my first day of the program, and it turned out by the time I went through the program and each new horizon expansion took place, my initial idea for the dissertation yielded a really great 20-minute conference presentation. It was too small by the time I got to the dissertation stage. And that was just a process of opening one door after another that led to all kinds of exciting places. I had heard before that publishing, you might reach out to a publisher and hear back in 6 or 8 months if you're lucky, and even then it would likely be no. So I waited about a month and sent out my pitches to the publishers I wanted to work with, figuring I would hear back from them in 6 or 8 months like I had read. And of the 10 that I approached, 9 of them got back to me within 3 days. So there was a lot of interest right from the start, which was great, but also meant I had a lot of work to do all of a sudden, because all of them wanted a full 20-page pitch. They all had different things they were looking for. It's a good problem to have, but still, I was like, oh no, I'm tired. I don't want to do all this right now. And long story short, ended up going, the people at Duke were fantastic to work with from start to finish. Came out in 2021. It was been nominated for a couple of awards, like the American Society for Aesthetics, Monograph of the Year Award, the CAA Charles Rufus Morley Award, which is similar. Didn't win either one, but as they say, it's an honor to be nominated. It's also helping. I got tenure 4 years ago. I'm going up for full professor this year. And of course, in addition to my exhibitions and other things, having a book on my CV is certainly can't hurt things. But besides professional aspects, it's given me great opportunities to meet fellow scholars, talk to interesting people about a full range of topics, get invitations to write book blurbs and all sorts of weird things that I didn't really think about coming from a book publication. So it's been great all the way through. I was the first in my family to go to college. We weren't against college, it just wasn't something my family did. The range of things going on now to me is just stuff I didn't even know were options. I'm a practicing painter, that's my BFA and MFA. I've been exhibiting for 25 years at this point, nationally and internationally. I just had 2 solo shows this spring, so still very active on that front. And like I say, I've always been writing, whether it was zines or my initial failed attempt at a book right before I joined IDSVA. So the range of things that I'm able to do, it's a good life to wake up and be excited about something, to go to work and work with great young students, to talk with people, whether they're writing because they love the book or they disagree with the book. IDSVA opened up so many horizons, one level after another, of opening up more and more doors. It's a lot to juggle, um, but the fact it's all really interesting and exciting stuff to work with, and great new people to meet all the time, such these fellowships every summer. It's I can't think of any other way to phrase it than just it's been a great journey so far.
What unique thing about IDSVA makes it work?
Hmm. One of the things, or among the things that make IDSVA distinct from other programs, so when we're studying philosopher X, often we're in the milieu where that philosopher worked or where those ideas arose. So that nomadic nature is really interesting. The number of students, former students, publishing books, getting on the record, their monographs published, so forth, is better than any other higher percentage of alumni than any other program I can think of. Like when I was doing my work on information theory and complex systems, nobody on the faculty knew anything about those topics. So they had to reach outside and bring in, guest faculty to work with me on that sort of material, to ensure that I got out of it what I needed. So that sort of fluidity of who the faculty are, of where the program operates, where coursework is located, literally around the globe for part of the year, and then in your own living room through your another part of the year. That flexibility really gives it, uh, keeps it dynamic in all sorts of ways. That just since my day job is at a regular large university with a fixed location, which is great in its own ways too, but I get to compare and contrast the two a lot. And the fluidity and flux of IDSVA gives it a dynamism that's, as far as I'm aware or concerned, is unparalleled by anybody else.
Do you keep in touch with any of the students?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, thank you for that prompt. Yeah, I do keep in touch with the students. That's one of the great things of being part of these different residencies. Um, Over the years is I've got kept in touch with students now, not only from my cohort and the cohort before, but from the last 4 or 5 years or so. We're at the point now that some of the students I worked with in their first semester, in their first week at IDSVA, for example, I'm working with one of those students now as her dissertation advisor. So there's a great arc there. And even the students who I'm not that intensively involved with, I still keep in touch with them. They'll share exciting things they're up to, or approach me with questions about something. It's pretty great. The same with faculty members. The faculty on core faculty, the ones they bring in from outside, like I said, my independent study advisor. Um, yeah, it's a great network, or it's a great way to build a network of dynamic, exciting current scholars and emerging scholars who will be doing the exciting, dynamic stuff in the future.